Hey, it's Shop Talk, baby. This is the show where it's okay to be you. We're talking from Yale to jail and from the church house to the pimp house. Nothing's excluded on Shop Talk. So if you don't have a phone, I suggest you borrow one. Call in and voice your opinion live every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Yeah, that's right, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Don't forget to Shop Talk with your girl, because right here, we keep it real.
We getting straight into the topic. Today's topic is, we have a problem, Houston. No pun intended, though. For real, this is an issue. We got so many things going on now. Now we need to shop talk about it. Roogle, hit your mute. We're going to start off and, by welcoming, I'm sure everybody has heard the Shaina Bell story. And I think that a lot of us have felt, we felt connected because we have been there. And for those who don't know Shaina Bell, listen, I'm sure everybody knows about the lovely Shaina Bell. She was, she's the young mother who had her children in a hotel and went to work, and someone called the authorities on her. We talked about it last week. Roogle, remember we were trying to figure out what did she do wrong? How did she break the law? Remember that? We have her mom on today, Miss Danielle Hosey. Let's give it up for Danielle Hosey. Look, a quiet one. Wait a minute, here we go. Let's do this one. There we go. I'm like, let's get it going with that one. To talk about Shaina, her update, how she's doing, and the outpour of love and support for her during this time. So Danielle, how is Shaina doing?
Shaina's actually doing well. She's still working. She's trying to continue on with kind of life as normal as all these things go on around her. But she's kept a positive attitude. And she's smiling a lot as usual, but she's doing well.
Now with her situation, we talked, Nick, you remember last week when we were talking and, staying in the Motel 6. So usually when you stay in the Motel 6, she was homeless. Give us a background.
Okay, well, right now she's actually in transition. So she was looking for a place. And so this wasn't a long-term thing, but still, it happened. But she was already in the process of looking for a place, but, one ordeal caught up before she was able to do that, basically.
Okay, we also talked about on last week's show, a lot of people, there's different organizations out there, they'll put you up in the hotel while you're in transition, as you're speaking of. And I learned that this summer. Remember, I was telling you guys about that when I went up there, and I was like, oh, it's a lot of families. I seen children with bikes, and I was like, wait, what's going on? Because I'm nosy, and I'm like, what is going on? And that's when I learned about that. So she was in transition. She went to work at a local, in the area, pizza place. So here's a mother that is actually being a mother. And honestly, the epitome of motherhood is Shaina Bell. Honestly.
Thank you.
Because I'm like, wait a minute, how can you be wrong by doing so right? It's like, I'm working, this is what I have to do to make sure that my children have a roof over their head. And for someone, and we'll leave, that's ancillary of who called, because what was meant for bad turned out to be for good, okay? So we're gonna just put that on the side. We'll focus on what's going on right now and what the issue is. And it sounds like the issue is childcare is expensive. What do you do when you're trying to work? Okay, I'm here, I'm working, paying this hotel fee so that I can make sure that my children are in a stable environment. And just like Roogle mentioned last week, for those who didn't hear, we'll catch you up. He was saying in the state of Ohio, there is no age requirement. So why arrest this young woman?
Yeah, I was kind of concerned that was the first answer to pull her from her job. She was very hurt, very embarrassed, because not just for getting arrested, but they came to her job and they arrested her in front of customers. And that's the thing. I could see that she had been crying when she came home. That was the first thing she told me, Mommy, they took me in front of customers. And, you know, there was nothing I could really do about it at that point. My heart went out to my daughter. And, you know, at that point, we were just kind of trying to figure out what was going to be our next move, because technically, you know, I felt that she hadn't done anything wrong. I was a latchkey child, and it wasn't anything wrong with that. My mother had to go to work. You know, my parents were divorced. It wasn't about, you know, being a out of wedlock mother or anything like that. My parents were divorced, and my mother still had to provide for us. So I was a latchkey child. Shaina was a latchkey child. She's one of 5. You know, I had to work and I was going to college. You know, and so unfortunately, many parents, not just mothers, are faced with the decision to leave their children once they feel like they're old. And if childcare, you almost would be working just to pay childcare. It's exorbitant, especially if you have more than one child.
Roogle, you want to chime in?
I mean, there's what we're really looking at too is the state of the world, you know, especially when we think about, if we're looking at childcare as a industry, it's been pretty much non-existent, or at least a shell of itself because of the coronavirus. But parents still have to work, especially if you're working in the industry of the food industry. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things that has as far as like takeout and all that sort of stuff, those things have still been going on, maybe even stronger than what they were in the past.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a workforce there, and the issue has really been, how has our government helped support this workforce throughout this pandemic? And it really hasn't, to the extent that it should, when you really think about the issues related to how do working families find a way to have childcare in a state, in a world where being around the wrong person for 15 minutes could cost you your life.
Yeah, literally it can.
And see, and that's another key point. So they were safe. Who's watching the children, even if somebody would, you know, you don't want to get the coronavirus. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, so who do I put my children around? And I'm working with the public. I don't want to get everybody else sick if I'm preparing, you know, food or doing public services, because that's exactly what essential workers are. They're doing a public service, and get, you know, jeopardizing or putting other people at risk, jeopardizing your own life and putting others at risk, and trying to provide. The last I checked, it was her GoFundMe was over $100,000.
Yes.
The goal was 5,000. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, the goal was 5,000, and that was because essentially I really didn't anticipate this type of outpouring of support. You know, things happen to people every single day, you know, and when my daughter's story was posted on Facebook, that's initially where I saw the news story, you know, after she got home. And people were contacting me because they wanted to help her. It wasn't our intention to set up the fund, but people kept contacting me and telling me that they wanted to help my daughter. And so, you know, we set it up, and I didn't think that it was going to be something major like this. You know, I didn't realize it was going to resonate with so many people, you know, and it's really, it touches me that so many people have cared because they resonate with the story.
It's a lot of people, because, you know, if we actually even think back, like you said, you were a latchkey child.
Yeah.
Most of us were latchkey children.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us were. You know, I had somebody to come pick me up, you know, when my mom had to work.
Yep.
I had a lot of friends, you know, and here's the thing, even the teachers, remember the key was around their neck.
Yeah, we had little shoestrings so we could wear a house key around our neck.
Right. It wasn't a big, it was the norm.
Yeah,
You know,
we used to have the refrigerator, the magnet list on the refrigerator of all the emergency numbers, and everybody, you know, yeah.
Exactly. And now I'm still in the place where they came and arrested her. The other stuff is like, okay. And just like we said last week, instead of calling on her, why aren't you helping her? You know, that was my thing off top. It was like, okay, so whoever called, because they said they were tipped off, whoever tipped them off, why aren't they helping her instead of tipping her off? Like, why would you make a bad situation worse. And so
Yeah.
that was my thing. And I was one of those people. If you know any information, if there's a GoFundMe, please let me know. I wanted to know because I wanted to help. And it was like, no, I need to help this young lady. But this was our norm. All of a sudden things are changing.
Mhm.
And to arrest her was my issue. And me and Roogle, we were conversing about that part. And
Yeah.
he looked he looked up in the state of Ohio, where it said, go ahead, Roogle, what did it say?
Well, I was looking at the Ohio Revised Code, but I found the article from the Beacon Journal where they had a similar situation, and it stated that there was no age of where a child could technically be left alone at home. The issue with this situation is that you have, if I understand it correct, 2-year-old and a 10-year-old, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's someone there that's at an age of competency.
Yeah.
When you run into issues with this with this kind of situation is when you have a child who cannot communicate, cannot do those things to be able to fend for themselves. So what I found was that there was no actual statute that said that there is an age that a child must be left alone at, that they can't be left alone at home. I couldn't find that information. It didn't exist from what that article said that was written in, I think, 2019.
That's interesting. It's interesting that they would act before even understanding their own laws regarding the situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the thing I would say is that what happens, and I worked in early childhood education for about 15 years, and typically what happens is that if it's a situation like that, it's supposed to be Jobs and Family Services or child support, not child support, I'm sorry, children's services that would be contacted. But I will tell you that when those particular services are contacted, because of just unfortunately the overall the demand for that kind of work that needs to be done on a daily basis, sometimes it does fall into law enforcement, but the thing for me was the arrest. What charges did they have? Would they try to say child endangerment or something of that nature?
Yes.
Yeah, she was charged with 2 counts of child endangerment.
Okay, she didn't happen to go to court yet?
It's in
Not
April,
yet.
right?
She doesn't have to go to court until April.
Okay, I would imagine under the circumstance it would probably potentially be thrown out, especially because there seems to be, the good thing is that communities, when they positively impact the situation, can have a positive outcome for the people who are victims. Your daughter is a victim in this situation. Those children are a victim in this situation because we don't have the infrastructure in this country to be able to support working parents, especially working parents that are in poverty. When you think about our surrounding area, about almost 50% of individuals make less than $24,000 a year.
Yeah.
And when you have those sort of economic issues and the shortfalls that are associated with it, then what is the government doing with those tax dollars to help support those families? That's why we have government, is to make regulations and laws and give support to people when they need it most. And in this case, this is, in my eyes, a view of how our system continuously fails families who are working for the good of their existence.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well put. I look at Shaina as the sacrificial lamb. And I don't like the word hate, but I really hate the fact that the police came to her job and arrested her. And just as Danielle was saying, like, you should know the laws. You don't even know your own laws. You went out and like, okay, well, I get a tip and I'm going to go check on this. Not a welfare check where you go to make sure that everybody's okay.
Yeah.
But you go and you arrest a mother, and the child is clearly competent, because when they actually shared the interview with, that she had with the police, and she said, My
Mhm.
mom is at work. She comes back around 10. She knew all of that. So
Yeah.
even with the state of Ohio, it's a maturity level and not an age level, to my understanding, after, with my research. And you went down there and you publicly humiliated this young mother who was trying to do well. It could
And she
go
was
ahead.
blessed that she didn't lose her job, for that, because those are circumstances a lot of times that employers, they don't want that type of attention at their business. So she was very fortunate to be able to keep her job, because that would have further, made the issue a little bit worse. She's already
Absolutely.
working at a low wage job and she is already searching for housing. And so to take her from her job and put her in jail, that didn't make any sense to me.
Now, what's going to come of that? I'm going to keep it 100. I can't take that day back. If it were
Right.
me, that day will never ever be erased. It will always be in my head. Just as you said, she was crying. You could tell she was crying because they arrested her in front of customers. They know they could have waited.
Yeah.
They know
Yeah.
that they could have waited. Come on now. And not all police officers are like that.
Yeah.
But
No,
I
of
got to
course.
be clear, for my police officer friends, because I know something that's legit, you know what I mean? But they could have waited till they were served. You don't know if they was getting what is it, $5? They got the cheesy sticks or whatever, you know what I mean? They're not
Yeah.
gonna be there that long. They probably were there just picking up pizza, but you humiliate this young lady publicly. And
Yeah.
then you go down and you arrest her. Yes, I work in corrections nurse, 22 years. Okay. So knowing that and coming in, so now I'm introduced to all these people, and it's like, now I have a record where I shouldn't even have a record. Or regardless of anything that goes on, why do I have to succumb to this, and where are my children? And I know that was the first thing that came to her head.
Yeah. Their
Go ahead.
dad, they were taken to their father. And so at least she knew that the kids were okay. But it was just the idea that this could have been handled a different way. I really feel that it could have been handled in a much better manner. And so we're grateful for everything that's gone on, and that it's, contributed to the conversations that we really need to have about criminalizing poverty, making parents feel guilty because they can't afford things. And it's not because they're not working, it's because they're most often underpaid. Parents having to work 2 jobs, working overtime, and really they need to be at home with their children. But in order to take care of your children, you have to work. You can't always be at home to take care of them. And so it can be a stressful loop. So I'm glad that her story, in spite of the pain it caused her, that it may spark some things that'll help some other people.
Absolutely. Now you brought up a key point. Back in the day, I don't know when, like the 80s or so, you had welfare, and and then it was an issue as time went on. What was it? Bush, Roogle Nyk, help me out here. Y'all, the voice of the people, tell me, where it was, okay, well, you can't just sit and collect the check, because that's what they say, collect the check.
That was the
Instead
Clinton administration.
who was it?
Clinton.
Oh man, our boy.
Yeah, it was welfare. Oh yeah, welfare reform was under.
So it was, they were like, oh, okay, you just want to sit and have babies and collect the check, when they were actually raising their children back then. Okay, so now they have it where you have to, what is it? Work for your check. What's
I think so. Yeah.
So
you have to work in order to get
a check from the government, to get a government check. And it's like, okay, they're lazy, they're doing blah, 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 blah. Okay, so even if she didn't have a job and it was with that program from the Clinton administration, I'm heartbroken. That parent is removed as well, because you are taking the parent out of the home and saying, you have to work for your check to provide for your children. And you have a mother who actually is providing for her children, and you're telling her that it's wrong. And just like you said, Danielle, you hit the nail on the head. It's like you're taking a situation and you're attacking, and I'm going to say attacking. Yes, I use that term in the thoughts of Mel, is not the thoughts of the panel on Shop Talk with Mel. And you're using it against people of poverty. It's like, which way do we go? It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, oftentimes it is.
Well, just want to add something here. I think, like, we can look at the police response as being the wrong thing in this situation. The thing, however, though, is that we hear so many stories about where people should be locked up, where the police do arrest the people and that sort of thing. Again, it goes back to a lot of this how our country is structured and how we take care of our own, and we're not really doing a good job of taking care of our own. If we're in poverty, we're not even taking care of the middle class. Under with that conversation being said, and actually under the last 4 years, the only people we only cared about was the 1%. So when I hear this, I think, though, we have to be fair to the process when it comes to the terrible things that happens to families. But I really feel like we need to focus on how we are going to work towards a future where we truly empower and help people become the dreams that they have. And right now, I mean, there's been a few things that have happened under the new administration, but currently we're still in a situation where there are so many sins of the past based off of legislation to support whatever the theme was at that time, that we need to overcome that stuff. We need to have a true reform of how America reaches out and supports its own. And when I say that, I'm talking about our children. We can't have a viable America when during a pandemic in our own state, we have a governor that says, well, I'm going to cut Medicaid. I'm going to cut funding for school. I'm going to persecute
education
yeah.
and health.
Yeah.
Healthcare.
So, I mean, those are foundations.
Those are the foundations. We need both of them to actually live and become a productive citizen in society. Those are major.
Yeah.
But go ahead. I had to. Nick, was there anything that you wanted to add? Because I'm getting ready to ask the questions that the people are asking.
Definitely. My thing is with, I just want to know, with the police arresting her, especially with that not being an arrestable offense, are you able to file a civil suit?
That's not something I'm sure about just yet. She does have an attorney that's been hired to represent her. Someone took care of that for her. And so those are the questions that I'm going to have her begin to ask him, like, what rights does she have outside of all this, so we can find out, what can be done to help this situation for her.
And I just want to.
It doesn't happen to someone else. I said, that was such a direct connect. Like going through that, because I know a lot of my friends, people that were commenting on it, and they were like, that was me. I was going to work in night shift and, night, and my children were at home. It's such a direct connect. So many children have been, like you said, the latchkey child, or even, working like with us, like you said, like your mom, like when I got a divorce, it was, thank God. And I thank God every day for my parents and his parents, because I had childcare. But there was some things, and here's the thing, and thank God for my positioning, because I was able to tell them when I could work.
That's nice.
And it's like, this is what I'm doing because I'm focused on my children. I came straight out of school, not like a lot of people. My mother pretty much was like, you're going to school or work, what are you going to do? And I went to college and I became a professional. So I was able, with my profession, to call the shots. But the same thing as Shaina, this is my priority. My children are my priority, and this is what I'm doing. And I need to make sure that they have a roof over their head. You have children, when we talked on previous shows where Roogle actually gave the stats of that, you have children who go home and can't even eat. And you're looking and it's like, okay, well, they have a place, but guess what? They can't even afford to feed their children because you make 50 cents or $1 over the amount because you're working. And it's like, no, we're not able to do this. this situation, I'm going to say this situation, I was saying that the COVID is a global situation. This is a global situation. And more people than you know are dealing with this and going through this. I did look at the GoFundMe. I did mine anonymously, of course. Anybody know me, I'm doing anonymously. But I saw other anonymous.
Right.
Anonymous. It was so many anonymous, which was amazing. $5, $10. Listen, any amount, and this is clear right here. I'm talking to you, the viewers right now. Any amount is enough, because clearly she's over $100,000 from those $5, from those $10. Listen,
you know what they say, it takes a village to raise a child.
And this is truly a village raising your child, helping her raise her child.
I had friends that posted the story when it first came out that's not even from here, that live in other states, and people that were commenting were upset, and they also wanted to know if there's anything going on, if there's any way I can help this young lady. I need to find out. So, you know, and these are people that I don't know, but they know my friends. So it's just, and my thing is.
But guess what though, Nick? Here's the thing. That's why Danielle said at the beginning of the show, for the lovely people who are just tuning in, this is for the listening audience and the viewers. She said at the beginning, that's why she started the GoFundMe, because a lot of people were saying, how can I help out? But you have, besides that, this story is nationwide. You have celebrities, you have NBA players, you have the rappers, everybody coming out and pouring into
my daughter and my grandchildren, and it's really been a blessing. Yeah, as a mother, I have to say that it makes me sleep better knowing that my grandchildren are not going to have to go through this anymore. You know, that their life will have a different trajectory because their mother will be able to put her money that she's working for to a different use instead of just having to use it all for housing or food. They really made a difference in their lives, you know. And I have no idea why it was my daughter's story. And that's what I was telling her. So many of us are single parents, single mothers, and we all have all these really hard decisions to make. And so I'm not sure why it was her story in the news and not another young woman or another single parent, another father, you know. But I'm just grateful, and I'm glad, and I hope it continues to shine a light on the different ordeals that parents have to go through, and that people stop giving each other such a hard time. It's not easy for any of us. It really isn't.
I'm going to ask you the question that I saw, you know, different comments. I see that, and I also have some too, when I spoke about this issue. And they asked the question, where's her family?
Okay, like her mother and
why is she where's her mother? Now I'll tell you my response, and I want you to respond, you know, as well. My response to the different people that were condemning her, making a bad situation worse. Nobody needs to hear that, but it was more supporters, so we're going to focus on the positive. And it was, well, where's her parents? How come they aren't helping her? Where was her mother? So many people. And Roogle, you with your background, your educational background, I know you've seen this too. There are so many families where they just expect the grandparents to step up. Like the grandmother is supposed to be there, or where they're supposed to be there.
That's what I kind of chuckled about that, because it's like, just because I became a grandmother doesn't mean my life all of a sudden became easy and my availability became, you know, just overnight. You know, I still work. Shaina's one of 5 children. Her children, I have 8 grandchildren altogether. You know what I'm saying? I would love to be able to stay home and take care of my children and have them not have any issues. Trust me. But I still have to work too, you know, and unfortunately, everybody's schedules don't always coincide to where we can do that. And so, you know, honestly, it would be great if my grandchildren didn't have to go to childcare at all, but we just have to be realistic about that. That's stressful every day to not know, you have a work schedule, but you don't know if you have a babysitter because you got to call all these different people. There's no one consistent. So it's not about the family not helping, but we need some consistency. Her work schedule is consistent. Her life needs to be consistent.
Sure. Good. Very well said. My thing now, my child, if it was my daughter, Now, if you had a Courtney, and I told her, if you had a Courtney, you wouldn't have known. Like if it was my child, I wouldn't have known that it was like that. You know what I mean?
And that's another thing too. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
They
go ahead.
forget that Shaina's 24 years old. And so if she feels like she has a situation handled, she doesn't feel like she needs to call her mother. She's 24 years old. And so, you know, when she tells me that she needs help, I do what I need to do, make the necessary arrangements and adjustments to help her as much as I can. But, you know, I can only do what I know.
What you know. And see, that's what I was saying. If she was a Courtney, that's my child, I probably would not have known, because guess what? When I come into town, everything looks great. You know what I mean? Because, and being that age, because she's 23, being that age, you know, it's like, oh, okay, everything looks good. But then I don't know the other side, because at that age and when they're on their own and being a parent, they don't share everything. No. Until, let's be honest, all the mothers out there, you already know, till the bottom drops out. It's like, listen, you should have told me here.
Yeah, you get a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning. And you're like,
oh. Yes, it's like, don't tell me after, like, wow, we really got to dig to this, you know, to get to the surface. When it, if you had came to your parent at the surface, we could probably have fixed it and avoided a lot of other things from happening. But there's a lot of mothers out there. There's a lot of even young men out there, and they're like, I got this, I'm grown, I don't need to call my parents, and this is, and which, and won't say a single word until the bottom drops out. And that was my response to the one person. I said, well, we don't know the situation, because she could be taking care of her own children being grown, and or looking at her mom as like, well, my mom, I know how hard it was with my mom, and she has to worry about them. Somebody always have it worse. And that's usually your humble people who say, well, their situation is worse. At least I'm stable. I'm not going to go and say I need help. You know what I mean? Until the bottom drops out. And that was my response. But I appreciate you saying you have to work. If you were able to do, you would.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, my children, just like she said, my kids mean everything to me. Who has a child and doesn't truly want to love them and see them thrive and grow into the best person that they can be? And then in turn, when you have your grandchildren, you're wishing your child even more success, because they're carrying the next generation already. And so, you know, of course I would do anything to help her, but, you know, that still requires me to work too. I still have to have, you know, finances to be able to do things, and I can't do everything. I'm not a rich woman or anything, but, you know, I do what I can, and I love my children.
Thank you. I heard you say that she wasn't terminated from her job. No. Even though we know if they would have terminated her, honey, listen, they probably would have been out of business. But like, what, are you kidding me? So that's a great thing. And that she's still working at the place. That's awesome.
Yes.
Nick, you want to add into this conversation?
Honey, listen, I'm going to be silent on this one, because what I want to say, especially to those who are being negative.
Go ahead. Do I got to get the bail? Do I have to get the bail?
You might have to get the bail, but I you know, we already discussed this. I have to remain biased, so I'm just going to keep it mute. But I'm just, in a roundabout way, like, listen, when people have a close-knit family, they don't play that. And
well, that's different, because we know that, let's be real here. If I may be, everyone has a blood family, otherwise we wouldn't be here. We know that, right? Unless you Job and everybody then died, okay?
Right.
So you know that it is a sensitive situation when you are related to individuals, but when you are not related to individuals, and you can be on the outside and not knowing at all, you know, the person is just connecting.
Mm-hmm.
Just connecting. It's like, let me remove myself, and not even knowing who the person was. It was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I was like, and I was more upset about the whole policing situation, because guess what? I always look at the future. I look at the little people. I love the little people because they crack me up. But the little people are going to be more, were I'm sure, more impacted by that.
Mhm.
Then, you know, as an adult, we have lived through some things. So we're like, okay, well, I can go ahead and put that behind me. Okay, I understand the workforce. I understand the position that they were in. You know, I understand it. But as a little child, that's embedded.
Yeah.
That hard drive, talking about their brain, that hard drive is not as full as ours. Ours is on overload. You know what I mean? Theirs is new. So that is put in their computer and that's going to be there. And I pray that your grandchildren don't have that image of a police officer taking their mother away from them and having to remove them. Thank God that they were able to go with the father. Now, we do have some viewers that said the father was there to retrieve the children. Where was he prior to where she needed time to work? But anyway, that's ancillary. So you don't even have to answer that, Danielle, okay?
Okay, thank you.
I actually had an inbox that was so-called.
Don't listen. Here's
that
the thing.
yesterday.
Okay, here's the thing though. That's ancillary.
Right.
We're gonna put that to the side, okay? And it's like, okay, he came and he was there, he showed up, and we don't know the situation, we don't know. However, whoever called should have been, like I said, I still stand behind that from last week's show. Whoever called, you had enough gumption or whatever to call and give them a tip. Why didn't you call that young lady at her job and say, hey, you know what? I know that your children are there. I'll watch them. I'll assist you. I'll help you. We have to come together, and not even during the COVID times, just period. We have to come together. And especially when you're dealing with family, and family is not always blood related.
Yeah, that's true too.
Because we know that sometimes family will actually be the one to call. Okay, let's just put it out there, and you'll be like, well, wait a minute, hold on. But again,
and my thing is,
let me say this, and then I'll let you talk, Nick.
Okay.
What was meant for bad, God turned it around for good.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Whoever was being spiteful, all they did was help elevate her transition by blessing her.
But listen,
Thank you.
God, what does he say? Touch not my anointed. And when you his, you're gonna be all right. And guess what? Whoever called, they're able to witness. So hopefully they come to God, come to Jesus, because they're able to witness. Oh, I was trying to do something to do this to benefit me, and it may not have been. And I don't know the situation, but sometimes people will do things to benefit them because people like to see people fail. Okay, that's their goal. Like, okay, well, I want you, boom, to benefit me, but it turned around and watch God work. So they were able to see nationwide. Everybody was able to look. Here's a microscope on Shaina Bell. Let me show you how I can work.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're in doubt, boom, there you go.
Like you want to make your enemies your footstool. Definitely.
Absolutely. And guess what? Listen, she's good. So what are you going to do? We're going to do the hot topics. So what are you going to do? Did they ask you, did GoFundMe ask you what you were going to do with the funds? Because with the Gorilla Glue girl, they wanted to know where she's spending her funds or how she's going to spend her funds before they will release it. What's that about?
I don't know. What no one's asked me just yet. Kind of from the public, they've been kind of getting small updates from us. Of course, the first thing on my mind is securing permanent housing for her. And then after that, making sure she has the transportation she needs, that the children have, just the things that they need to have a life where they're going to be comfortable. Their mother is not going to be stressed while she tries to raise them.
Awesome. Very good. Very good. Danielle, I thank you for coming on. I truly thank you for coming on and giving us an update. And, you know, like I said at the beginning of the show, asking how she was mentally, how Shaina's doing. And I know that she's, this is a whole new world, not even just, it's like yesterday I was just, last week I was just going to work and coming home and taking care of my children. Now everybody knows me. So that's why I wanted you instead of her. I didn't want it to be overwhelming. I wanted you to come in her stead and to update us. How is she mentally?
Mentally, she is overwhelmed. Shaina stays in good spirits. That's one thing about her, that regardless of what's going on, Shayna's always like my bubbly, happy child. That's the one that'll throw sprinkles and glitter on you. And so, you know, even though she was hurt by that, I've been talking to her regularly, and she's still going to work, and she just seems to be okay, you know. And so I don't want to overwhelm, you know, be an overbearing mom, like, are you okay? Are you okay? Because she told me she was. And so I'm just kind of trying to take cues from her and just kind of watch her behavior, you know, and see, you know, voice tones, you know, all those different things we check with our kids when they don't tell us stuff.
Right. All
Yeah,
right,
so-
Roogle, is there before the show started, Roogle was talking about Danielle. You want to go ahead? Where you know,
Well, that's up to her. I don't know, you know what I'm saying?
tell us, this shop talk. You done done.
I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, it might have been the 5th grade. You received an award for some work you did to commemorate Martin Luther King Day. I ain't gonna say the year, because we both under 25 years of age. So, but yeah, when yeah. So I remember her getting that award, and that was a big deal. It was a big deal. I can't remember. I think you drew a picture of him at a desk, if I'm not mistaken. Am I wrong?
I used to enter a lot of art contests when I was growing up. I've had work put in the Butler Art when we were kids. I've had my writings published. That's always just been my thing growing up, art and writing.
Did any of your grandchildren get that from you? Did they take after you?
A lot of them are very, very crafty and artistic. My oldest granddaughter, Brielle, I really am hoping that she goes into STEM. She seems to have like a scientific mind. So she's into building tiny miniature furniture, and she's drawing, and she's doing all these cool things. And Faith is really bright and bubbly. And then we just have all these kids that, like, I'm watching all their personalities bud, and I'm just enjoying it a lot.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on Shop Talk with Mel and giving us an update on Shaina. And God bless you. God keep you. And the world is rooting for her. Just please.
God bless you guys also. And thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We are getting ready to start with our hot topics. All right. So let's just go. We were talking about the and look, I'm not even doing any music or anything, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what about the Gorilla Glue girl with the GoFundMe? How do you feel about the fact that they're asking her, what is she going to do with the money?
I don't blame them.
Why? I mean, no, if people decide to go ahead and just give her money, why?
Right. But she did, and she has contributed the majority of it to the doctor that did her surgery. I guess he had some type of foundation or something. So she did, you know, he has a charity. So she did donate the majority of it for that charity.
And that's all well and good. But if I start, and we know, like, it's usually other people that start a GoFundMe or whatever. But if I start a GoFundMe, and we had people, the Beyonce concert, remember that? People were doing GoFundMe for that, GoFundMe for anything. And if I decide to give my money, I'm not pulling on the heartstrings of people. I'm telling you exactly what it is. I decide to do something stupid and put some Gorilla Glue in my hair. So now, thank you for donating. And people are donating because of the whole Gorilla Glue thing. Like, okay, well, she's stupid enough. Lord forgive me, but it is what it is. You want to put Gorilla Glue in your hair, let me give you $10. So if people want to give $10 here, there, what's the problem? And why are you asking me? Did she have children?
The problem is exactly what you said. Is she trying to dupe society by doing something so outrageously incompetent that now she's trying to recoup a benefit from it? That's exactly why they're questioning it.
But here's the thing. The glue was in her hair. It was in there.
I know it was in there, but it wasn't like she walked past a Gorilla Glue factory and it just popped in her head. She went and bought a can of Gorilla Glue for a whole nother purpose and then used it for something else that she shouldn't have used it for. So I think now when you think about the landscape of how social media and all those mechanisms are trying to pretty much validate the information that they're sending out to the public. Yeah, I think they're questioning her based off of her intent because it's so outrageous what she did.
But you have people that start GoFundMe's for a lot of things and they don't get the money.
But you know the intent. But you know the intent of why they're doing it. So if I say I've never been to a Beyonce concert, I really want to go, and I want to take 50 people with me, help us go, right? You know what I'm doing. But if I'm just doing some crazy stunt on social media and then I say, give me money because of that, you know, they don't know the validity of what had happened with it.
Now,
so I don't blame them for questioning her. I would. Okay, I don't even think I'd let her start a fund personally.
Now, it was this plastic surgeon did it for free. And I'm wondering if that was the reason, like he actually said, I'll do it for free. So you don't need all this money. Do you give all the money back? Because we know the GoFundMe, they take a certain percentage.
I don't know how that works. I never done it. I never made one.
We did it. And it's a certain percentage that's on there that they get for having the GoFundMe. I seen it on there and it shows what the, I forgot the percentage that it was, but it didn't matter when you're doing it for a good cause. So they're already, they have their money. It's the after effect. You know what I mean? I think this is my thing. She raised, what was it, $20,000? Do you remember, Nick?
Yeah, she only, I guess her limit was only 5,000 and it ended up being 20,000. But yeah, I like those that want to contribute are going to contribute. So why are you asking her what is she doing the funds for? Because if somebody feels like it was a stupid reason or why, they're not going to contribute anyway. So people going to do what they want to do with their money. Why are you questioning?
I will go back.
But you're one that wouldn't even donate though.
Right.
What I'm saying is this though, is that they're in a position where they're like, okay, how do we control scams? And is this one of them?
See, I don't think it's a scam when I'm telling you right now, and that I'm stupid and I put Gorilla Glue in my hair and oh my gosh, I need to get it out. So I'm sure that was probably to help get it out. And then once they found out that he did it for free, then okay, well, now what are you going to do with the $20,000? But I'm not asking you what you're going to do with your money. Like it's man, it's deeper than that.
So let's say like this. Let's say you give money to March of Dimes. That just came to my head. I don't even know if it's a March of Dimes, if it even still exists, right? So let's say you give it to March of Dimes. What you giving the money for March of Dimes for? For some sort of disease research, right? So let's say the CEO goes out and buys like a yacht with the March of Dimes money.
It's almost like paying tithes.
No.
Listen, it's almost like paying tithes. You hope, listen, you hope that they do the right thing. I'm gonna give you my 10%. Look, Nick, like, oh, I'm gonna give you my 10%, and I'm gonna hope you don't buy no Cadillac. As my boy Landers always talk about, why did like preachers supposed to be riding the bus? He mad about that since it's so benevolent. You hope they do right. So my intent is to hope that you do well.
But I want, you know what? You bring in tithes in this, there is a checks and balance in the church. You have a business, you have usually a business officer or a committee or the church members, they review the budget and that sort of thing. There is a check and balance in that. In this situation, I look at it as like anybody who's going to fundraise for some purpose, I think there needs to be a check and balance in it. And the reason I feel so strongly about this, I remember it was a guy, and it was at a supermarket. It's no longer open on the east side, and he was out there collecting money for sickle cell, right? And then I heard from somebody that, oh yeah, he's been pulling that hustle for years. So it's people out there giving him money for he raising under a false this. And the thing I'm trying to say is, I'm not saying that what she did was false, but I'm saying nobody really knows. Only she knows deep in her heart if she legitimately was doing this for attention, or if she just made an error of of mass ignorance. You know what I mean? Like only she knows. But the thing is that you have people every day that will scam on behalf of like begging on people, like on people's sympathies and things of that nature. And I'm just saying, like, I don't think there's a problem with a check and balance system, especially under this case. If she got free services and everything else, and who actually started the GoFundMe? Was it her?
Okay, go ahead.
I don't know if it was her or not, but you know, someone else besides the person that glued it to their lips, somebody else put it in their hair. This just happened.
Guess what? And guess what? I'm not going to donate to that person.
Exactly. And they tried to go to the hospital. They didn't do anything to me at the hospital. How am I going to get this out? But theirs wasn't to the extent hers was. I don't think they took and laid it to the side like she did. They did put a picture up on their little IG or whatever, and it's been passed around. But why would you be so stupid? You did it trying to seek attention to see if you could get the same attention and money that she got. Not.
So typically, okay. I get. I made myself, I think clear on this whole topic. I don't think I got nothing constructive to add.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just stupid. You just want attention, and
they just wanted attention.
Bad. Come on.
Exactly.
So how do you know? So how do you validate hers and then condemn theirs? Because she did it first?
She did it first.
Oh, okay.
She did it first.
All right.
So
okay.
and that's how I validate that. You did a dumb thing first. For the copycat people, give me a break. If you want to do something stupid like that, even the guy with the red cup,
find something different. Find something different if you want to be crazy. But yeah, this person literally, after this girl had went and posted her and went viral for that, they were hoping to go viral too. So yeah, theirs is definitely.
You gotta be.
The red cup guy, he was saying that he didn't believe her and he was trying to debunk her, right? That's what his motivations were. But I'm just saying, like, in all three of those cases, how can you validate one and say, oh, and condemn the other ones? Like, I just kind of feel like, yeah, they're all ridiculous.
I mean, yes, you're right. Especially with her being a teacher, she should know better. But
listen, I know
a lot of people with book sense and no common sense, so we're gonna leave it at that.
But the thing is, if you got book sense, you know to read the instructions. So I'm a book sense person, and I read the instructions. So if if you're a book smart person, you read the instructions, right? Come on, you read the instructions and you make an assessment off of, okay, well, if I thought I wanted to use this for this, what's the boundaries I can push based off of the knowledge that I have? And especially being an educator, one would seek out that knowledge, especially when it's on the back of a can.
Now,
how many of y'all read a cereal box?
A whole bunch of us.
All right. So you might know the carbs and all that stuff, the sugar content.
Listen,
you know the prize.
You know what's. I was reading the information. I wasn't reading what was in the little square.
Okay, but you knew if you wanted to send out that prize, you had to mail it off to Walla Walla, Washington. So I'm saying, like, come on now. I just don't see the. I don't know. I'm lost on this one, y'all.
Okay. All right. Speaking of teachers, what about the teachers? What was it? A teacher's aide that got a slap on the wrist, who stapled a note to the autistic child's hair. Do you remember that going around?
No, I do not know anything about that. This was
in, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was in Boardman, Ohio. Ohio. Yep. And a teacher's aide in Boardman, I'm gonna say, because it's Boardman, stapled a note to an autistic child's hair to remember his water bottle. I guess they were supposed to bring water bottles or whatever, and every day a teacher you guys got to look that up. Every day another teacher would give him a water bottle, and so she stapled a note to his hair, but every day she would remind him. Now here's my issue: teacher's aide, autistic child, rituals.
Boom.
No, you know what I mean? So you tell him every day to bring a water bottle and he doesn't remember, so you staple it to his hair. How's that okay? And guess what? All she was reprimanded. Inappropriate, On her form, it said on her paper, her written reprimand, inappropriate, comma, abusive, comma, I can't even remember what all it
That's
said.
when you call
Offensive. And all she was reprimanded. Go ahead.
That's when you call child enforcement.
How about child endangerment?
Yeah, that's when you call them. But
you remember on I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, dude got his eye put out with a paper clip, so we don't know what a staple could do. Like, stop.
She had pierced that child's skin with that staple. So like, I'm not understanding, and that's all she got was a slap on the wrist.
She got a slap on the wrist, okay? Reprimanded. However, the other teacher, back in 2019, I'll catch you guys up to speed if you don't know, there was a teacher in Ohio who assaulted an autistic child. She gets jail time. They did that, I want to say yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
She assaulted the autistic child, but and the mother ended up speaking at the hearing. But the teacher said that, well, she asked her attorney, she said, if I have to go to jail, and I want to say she had 90 days, if she has to go to jail, she wants to start her sentence in March so that she can get the COVID vaccine, because she don't want to be subjected to COVID, being incarcerated. Ma'am.
Oh, well, didn't nobody tell you to do what you did?
Right. Now, here's the thing.
Do better.
This is what's interesting. The other one got a slap on the wrist. This one, you stapling. To me, that's assault. You stapling somebody's hair. That's assault to me. What would you call that, Roogle?
I would call it, she need to be fired and reported.
She was reported.
And then go through all the processes that the law has for anyone who would do such a thing. And the thing is that if you have any child, regardless
of autism or not,
yeah, and they're not complying with some order or something like that, especially like go home, bring something back, why aren't you like asking we got these things, these amazing things, right? They're called telephones, right? You can call people on them. You can send these things called text messages, emails. It's amazing. You can even look at somebody's face. Anything.
Face and say, hey, bring a water bottle. Or what happened to the folders? Remember the folders they used to put, the communication folder?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that school operates,
Like the smart thing would have been to just contact the parent or guardian. Get that bell. Please get that bell, because I might slip. That would have been the smart thing. You jackers. Contact the parent or the guardian. Duh.
Okay, we need to do. But you know what? I got one even better. If every day everybody's supposed to bring a water bottle, you have a water fountain. If this person don't bring it, the water bottle that the child brings, guess what? Just fill it up. Keep filling it up. And issue solved. Like, I don't understand why that was so hard, but to staple a note to the child's hair and all you get is a slap on the hand, a slap on the wrist, like you were saying, Nick, it's crazy. But the other lady, back to her, who's doing 90 days in jail for hitting the child, and they put autistic to make, it sounds worse, but hitting any child. Here's my thing with that. If that child would have hit her back, that child would have been expelled.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Come on. Like, that's a problem child, because the child responded. But she said that she wants to go in March. Can she be sentenced in March so that she could get the COVID vaccine? Well, honey, you're a teacher. So y'all was getting the COVID vaccine, and in Ohio, in this area, it was the beginning of February was the first one. You didn't get that. So to me, you didn't intend on getting the vaccine. You just want some little more time to stay home, when you should have thought about that prior to it. She said, I can't believe that I did something like that. I responded this way. Is it because you got caught?
Basically, because this is probably not her first time.
My point. Thank you. Ding, 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 ding. It couldn't have been the first time, and somebody told it. And you're dealing with these children that are autistic and that probably can't tell their parents, depending on the severity of autism.
Too comfortable doing it. So that lets you know this was not her first time. This was just her first time getting caught. Boo-boo. You got what you deserve. You need more than 90 days. And I guarantee you, had that been my child, I'd have been in the cell right next to you because I'd have whooped your tail. And then if they put the cell together, I'd be whooping your tail every day.
Okay, now while you in the cell with her, who's taking care of your child?
I understand that. But,
I'm just saying.
Ray, listen, that was just listen. Y'all already know that's how I'm going to respond. That's how I'm going to pop you. I'm going to let you feel the same pain that you inflicted on my child. Now, I rock that orange jumpsuit for them 90 days.
You keep on saying that's Nick. That's Nick. She keep on saying she'll rock that orange jumpsuit.
When
me
they come,
we already decided we are not putting money on your books.
I know.
I'm gonna give it to the. You know what? Nick would prefer that I gave her money to the Gorilla Glue woman. So that's what I want to do with your money. I'm gonna give it to Gorilla Glue.
I didn't say all that. Now I definitely didn't say all that. I was just saying, you know, for those who decided to give, I wasn't one. So I didn't say that.
Now you're right on that. I didn't feel like I needed to give to the Gorilla Glue girl. Like that's slow. Unless it's for like the Reading Rainbow or phonics or something like that, then maybe I would have. If she put that in the GoFundMe, I probably would have gave her like $10 or something like that. You know, but not when you just do something slow. I can just go outside and just be like, here you go. Give it to somebody just doing something slow. Rush Limbaugh. He passed away. And chirp, chirp, chirp.
Well, he died from cancer, and
he died from cancer, lung cancer.
And he was I think he took his stance that there was a lot of negative things being done to impede upon smokers' rights and things of that nature.
He did talk about that.
Yeah, he did.
And eventually it took him out. Go ahead.
Yeah, but he lived the life he wanted to live, you know. So there you have it. That's all. You know, that's all I got to say about that one. I mean, you know.
All right, Forrest Gump. And that's all I got to say.
That's all I got to say.
Two words to describe him, Nick.
Jack ass.
2 words to describe him, Roogle.
Conservative host. I'm not going to demean myself for the rights for his guy. You know what I mean? I'm not, you know, conservative host. That's what he was.
Conservative host. I got 2 words: xenophobic racist. And listening to him, you know, I would listen to him periodically, and I gotta say this: you knew who he was, how he was, and if you listened to him, it was definitely your choice to listen to him. Now he's gone. 45, President Trump, I actually like think the same. Who do you think would be a good person to take over his radio show? Because you know he had like a gold microphone. I was all into as far as like what they had for him, even though they knew that he was controversial, they still paid him. He had a gold microphone and everything. You think that Trump will get the job? I just put it out there.
Who I'm trying to think who hosted the show. Was it? I don't know who was the host. I mean, not hosted, but who was the broadcast? I don't know who broadcast.
I can't even remember who the broadcast is because I didn't listen to it, but I just knew he was controversial.
I would say that I would probably say no at this point in time. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Especially, look, they kicked him off of Twitter. He don't need no airwaves.
Kill the broadcast, period.
You said K in the broadcast, he's done.
Uh-huh.
I tell you what's interesting.
Ding dong, the witch is dead, so therefore the broadcast should be too.
But here's what's interesting. What's interesting is that when he passed, people weren't sad. Well, I guess the people that we know. It was just like,
right,
oh, okay.
We know.
We're just like, oh, okay. There you go. All right, Prince Marky D passed away on Thursday. And I was listening to Rock the Bells on XM Radio when I actually heard it. I love me some Rock the Bells. 43 Rock the Bells on XM Radio. Prince Marky D, for those of you who don't know who that is, he was in the Fat Boys, one of the founders of the Fat Boys. He was a beatboxer. The light-skinned one, if that helps.
No, it was the one of the short.
It's the light-skinned one.
The light-skinned one did
the
beatbox.
Is Prince Marky D, Mark Morales.
Well, I know him, but I mean the beatbox. I thought the one that did the beatbox was the little short, dark-skinned one.
He did it too, but Prince Marky D was known for that. For the beatboxing. So, you know, rest in peace and prayers for his family.
Yes,
and a pioneer, definitely a pioneer.
Right. I know I follow a lot of different rappers from that era, and they just talk about
the original
wonderful person. Exactly. Thank you. And they just talk about what a wonderful person he was. So yeah, that definitely is a loss. You know, listen, we in 2020 reboot. I swear we are.
I refuse to accept that. But he was a radio host for those who know him from the radio host in Miami. But we know him, the original Fat Boys was doing it up. So I definitely want to pay homage to him. We talked about Rush Limbaugh, and we know that today's topic is we have a problem, Houston. Can we talk about Ted Cruz? Let me move that out the way. Sorry. Can we talk about Ted Cruz?
He was dead wrong.
He dead wrong. Go ahead, Roogle.
You know, in the face of crisis, especially if you're in a leadership role, you don't leave. You know, I mean, and then the whole thing. I was chaperoning my daughters. Come on,
dude.
Man.
It was a crisis.
You know,
I mean, it was a like I was watching the Titanic again. The captain just dipped, like, boom, let me get out. You know, that's how I felt. You know, just watching it. Go ahead, Roogle, and then Nick.
No, I'm just saying, like, I mean, like, part of the bigger picture to this whole thing is that, okay, you have President Obama. Remember during his administration, all those bridges were falling down, and he said we got to put money into the infrastructure of America, right? Because we got all these old bridges, we got all this stuff happening, and you get people like him who don't want to invest those monies into the American infrastructure, you know. And I know that they had their own grid. It wasn't, you know, they regulated their own thing in Texas and that sort of thing. But the issue with him is that this is a national issue that they haven't helped solve. And he has criticized people over and over again for walking away from the table, for not being there to discuss things and all those different things and stuff, when he is that guy right now, while literally people in his state and I have friends and family out there, and it's been terrible. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, they've been without electricity.
Was it the mayor who he had a problem condemning that? Remember, it was like the no-fly, everybody had to stay home, and then was it the mayor that actually left, and he was the main one talking about it? Remember that incident?
Yes.
No, I'm not familiar with it.
You remember it, Nick?
Mm-hmm. When the pandemic first happened, yeah. But now the tables are turned, my friend, and now we have the pot calling the kettle black. Your daughter's trip should have been canceled as well. Period. Point blank.
He made that, like, they made that trip. It was like, it wasn't like it was like, you know, it was, you know, they're trying to make it seem like, oh, this was his plan. We just planned to go. No.
He wanted to go somewhere warm and spare his family, while you have other families in that area who have now, you know.
So the thing is, with the people of Texas, in my opinion, should be like, is that this guy, when this happened, should have been going to Washington talking about, we got to fix this problem nationwide. Here's the legislation to do it. And instead of that, he's somewhere drinking a Mai Tai or wherever you drink when you're in Cancun. I don't know. But the
frozen margaritas.
Okay, frozen. Oh, he can drink something frozen because he hot, huh?
Right. Listen, I want to put this, Austin, Texas mayor. He told the residents to stay at home while he flew to Mexico. In Mexico again, you know what I mean? So that stay-at-home order, the mayor of Austin, Texas, and this was December the 3rd.
Wasn't there another official that talking about the social distancing, and then they did a party or threw a party or something, or went to a party?
It's just like you're making us do something and you're telling us what to do, but you get to do what you want to do. Now, allegedly, his wife, we're back to Ted Cruz. Allegedly, y'all heard me, his wife had texted, I guess, one of her friends and said, it's freezing in here and we're getting ready to go. So them and their friends and family all went. He said that he was going to drop off. His daughters wanted to go there. So you guys are kind of on point there. His daughters wanted to go and he was just dropping them off and was coming right back.
Yeah.
Guys, did you see his bag? Did you see his bag? His bag was.
It didn't look like he was dropping that.
If he was dropping them off, he was packing like me. With that bag wasn't a one-day overnight bag. Now me with overnight, I might have like about 5 or 6 outfits with one day.
He was going to stay. He just got busted. He was going to stay. He just got busted.
Use government funding to get escorted.
I'm not going to go that far because I don't know, but I'm just saying the thing is that you are okay. The governor is the highest official of the state, but you represent the state on the federal level, and right now he should be in Washington like, we need FEMA, we need this, we need that, we need to fix this thing, we need monies towards fixing infrastructure for electricity and all other utilities and things like that throughout the state of throughout the whole nation, and he wasn't doing that. He wasn't doing that. He could have sent his family away. Okay, send them away if you want to. If you got the means, anybody in that situation, if you want to send your family away, get away or whatever, that's okay. But for him, it wasn't okay for him to go. If he was gonna go somewhere, it should have been like, I'm going to Washington to do this. He see what I'm saying? Like, he could have took his family to Washington while he argued for support of the situation. But he went to Cancun. He left the country. He didn't go to fight for his people. He went to flee from his people in the situation. And that's what people need to understand. Now they said that, oh, he took his family and went to Washington because he wanted to talk about this. You know, you can't really argue that one. You can't argue that one. But you can't argue going to Mexico.
Okay. Now, Hillary Clinton, and listen, I'm so sorry it's embedded, Crooked Hillary.
Oh man.
Listen, 45 said Crooked Hillary so much that it's just stuck. But Hillary mocks the fact that Ted Cruz left his pet dog. They're more focused on the pet dog and not the people of the state of Texas.
Hey,
and the dog's name is Snowflake.
Hold on. I'm sure it's probably a lot of people. There's some Sarah McLachlan fans that's hot about that.
Listen, they are more upset about that than him leaving his people behind. Like, what is going on?
I mean, well, because the dog don't have nobody to. I mean, the dog is an innocent bystander in this, and he didn't do right, man. You know,
all the way around.
All the way around. How you gonna lead a damn dog? How you gonna lead a dog?
Right.
The dog, the family, part of the family.
Now.
And he couldn't see for himself, so the dog freezing in the house because I guess the text that his wife had put said it's freezing in here. So you left the dog.
They all left the dog. All of them. Everybody in the house left the dog. Nobody. So that I tell you where that dog need to be rescued by somebody. He need to be with a better family.
Now, what they have, like different media outlets are saying that Ted Cruz is going to the dogs. So they, no pun intended, but I guess it is pun intended when they actually put that, and they're saying that the dog's name is Snowflake. Oh, Snowflake don't know nothing about no snow. Little cute little white dog. So you already know animal rights people coming in and coming for him.
As they should, because that just don't make no sense. Animals
gone with the family. The dog's probably looking like, well, where's my bag?
Right. The dog.
Everybody left the dog. Everybody left the dog.
Left the dog.
Everybody left the dog. So you feel like, I mean,
but you said everybody, and you're right. And usually dogs are for the children. They want their dad to come to Cancun, but not the dog.
I'm just saying everybody left the dog. So nobody, I mean, is this Home Alone, the dog edition? I mean, like, come on, like Like everybody was in such a rush that they forgot the dog.
They got up out of there. They brought their friends.
They took their friends.
But they left the dog.
And did they leave the dog with any resources?
What kind of resources? I guess people were going to pass his house and they saw the dog. That's how they took a picture of the dog and realized that the dog was left. You think they forgot the dog on accident?
No, they purposely left that dog. Wasn't no accident.
My thing is that, I mean, obviously they're reporting that the dog wasn't under any care. True. So you just let the dog potentially to die.
Because in that situation like that, if we go through that situation like that, I got 2 of them. They gonna be in the ride with me wherever I'm driving to get warm. Period.
Right. Yeah, we know you, the dog lover, is definitely she gonna take her dogs with her hand.
Those are my children. I don't have any children, so those are my children.
Right. Let me put this information out there. There were different people that were asking about the stimulus packet and if it is a household of 50,000 or less. Remember, that was like the conversation. The 1,400 was going to go to if you made a household made 50,000 or less. As of last night, 9:00 p.m., it is 75,000, the same as the $600 amount. So if your combined household income has to be less than 75,000 for, to be eligible.
Okay, it is the combined instead of single. Okay, because I know before.
Well, remember it was combined before with the 600, and if combined, and that's not a lot. Combined was 75,000, and then there was a word on the streets that it was going to go down to $50,000 combined income. That's $25,000 a year. So, right. and I just think that it should do just kind of like how it was before the 1,200. Everybody got it, because just because I make a little bit more doesn't mean I don't need that. You know what I mean? I just feel like everybody should get it.
Well, I think the issue is like what I made last year on my taxes versus what I'm making right now is a completely different argument.
Right.
So if I was so fortunate to make $76,000 last year, but then my job went out of business or something like that happened because of what's going on, I shouldn't be. It should just be, yeah. So.
And you have a great point, and that's it. So if you made 80,000 last year and this year you're not working the first 6 months, you can't get the 1,400.
Yeah,
because it's based off the taxes of last year. Go ahead.
And then sometimes your revenue could be impacted because the overall economy is not doing well. So if I'm a person who provides, like, let's say I'm in sales or something like that, and my sales are based off of who I'm able to sell stuff to in their economic situation, and if they can't buy, I can't eat.
Basically, yeah.
That one.
That's the income ratio.
Yeah. Yes. And if they don't buy, you can't eat.
Andrew Yang said, give every tax Amazon, give every American $1,000 a monk.
You said that on the show. A long time ago. You were talking about it because that's who you was going for, right?
Well, Andrew Yang and Bernie, those was my people.
Those were your people. Now tell me, have you heard the old adage, or is it an old wives' tale, where there was a time that Black people down south couldn't have vanilla ice cream throughout the year except on the 4th of July? You heard that?
That I never heard, and I was reading that article, and I was just like, wow, yeah. But then you have, some people that are constantly telling us that was in the past and let it go. But then you finding more things in the past that, how can you let it go?
You can't.
No, you cannot. You just can't.
First, I thought it was an old wives' tale, and like you said, it was in the past with the 1940s or whatever. I thought it was an old wives' tale until Maya Angelou, when she spoke of it in "I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings." She spoke of that. The little things that we just kind of like, is this real or is this not real? And we had to eat chocolate ice cream throughout the year, but everybody loves chocolate, don't they?
Yes.
It's so
I thought that
funny
was an
though.
interesting article, interesting read. So like you said, you were reading up on it. Go ahead, Nick.
No, I was just saying, look, I like chocolate. I like vanilla. I don't like strawberry, but I'll eat strawberries. That's crazy. But I like an assortment of ice cream. Yes,
We're talking about vanilla and chocolate. Let's stay
everybody's
focused.
favorite is chocolate.
Okay, your favorite. Go ahead, Roogle. What's yours?
I was just I don't have a favorite ice cream. I mean, not to say I don't have a favorite one because I like them all. I don't. Ice cream, I can always pass on that.
They said when you over 40, butter pecan is your favorite.
Is it because that was the most innovative thing at the time? I remember seeing like on the market, it was only butter pecan and the black cherry one. Remember the one with the big black cherries in it? Those was the only exotic one. After that, it was all Neapolitan.
Hey, you know what?
Or
When I
strawberries.
was younger, I hated butter pecan, but now that is my joint.
40 and over. Hey, did you guys watch the Black Church on PBS that everybody was talking about?
I did not get a chance to watch that.
I was informed that I have a cousin that was a choir director that was on there.
I watched it.
Sure, I didn't watch it though yet.
I watched it, and I watched it because I need to watch it to talk about it. Well, I started watching it. I wasn't impressed. That's just my personal views. I was not impressed because I thought it was going to be something different than what it actually was. And it showed like the civil rights. It showed the meeting place. Remember back in the day when we didn't have places to meet. So like for civil rights and stuff like that, we would meet at the Black churches. So I thought it was going to be, y'all know how I am anyway. I'm all happy, ready to go. Like, yay, then we about to hear some for real gospel. I'm about to see this. We about to praise the Lord and do what we do.
Oh.
It wasn't like that. It was, to me, I just thought I was just looking at all politics.
Well, the thing is that you got to be familiar with Henry Louis Gates' work. This is sort of his next effort from the being Black in Latin America. And if you watch that, it was like maybe 6 or 8 episodes of where he looked at like Black life in like one was in Brazil, another one was in Haiti and the Dominican Republic, Mexico, and some other places. I can't remember all of them. But it's a documentary format on the existence, if you will, how these things came about. You know,
but we know how, well, not everybody. Someone who was interested in Black history, which would be me, we know how those things came about. It was okay. I didn't see the movie that you were talking about, or his documentaries, or his works, but I was unimpressed. I thought it was going to be more. Now, some of the listening audience and the viewers were talking about it, and their views were, why is during Black History Month? That was one that stood out, and I want to talk about it. I'm paraphrasing. Why is it that in Black History or Black History Month, when they do these old programs, why are they bringing up the struggle? How come there's nothing celebratory, about it? Why is it always year after year is the struggle? And another person said every time that they watch it, they get upset and angry when they watch the history that is shown before us. Not the fact that the history of, Black history when we were kings and queens and the great part about it. I want you guys to remember the questions. My thought on it, and I guess it's just the way that you process things. I see during Black History Month, like your Frederick Douglass's, I see the works that they did, the great works that they did. So I'm on the celebratory side, where some of the listeners and viewers look at it as sad times. So who wants to respond to that first?
I'm with you on that. That is why Black history, they're going back to that because you really need to understand the struggle. And yes, we see the same thing every year, but then we're also learning of something new every year. You need to see and understand the struggle of our people in order to keep pushing forward and see the progress that we have made, even though there's some things that's trying to set us back and we're still going through some things and things are finally coming to light, but we still made lots of progress. So yes, we do need to see that. I mean, yeah, I'm like the next person, I get mad, but it doesn't make me sad. It just helps me understand where we were, where we are now, what it took to get us to where we are, and celebrate those people who sacrificed themselves to get us where we are now. Just like we should continue to to celebrate the people that that have been sacrificed now, and keep fighting for change for our people. So I mean, I can understand, and I definitely respect how they feel, but I really it's all a celebration because we're still coming up as people. We need to see, and you have lots of children, Black children that don't know, have not been taught, of course, because they're not really teaching much in schools. And so yes, and we should celebrate and learn about Black history every day of every month of the year, not just February, but that is up to that individual parent to make sure they keep educating their children. So I mean, we should just celebrate it. I mean, some of it is hard to watch, but you need to understand the struggle that our people went through to sacrifice for the next generation.
Okay, go ahead, Roogle.
It's not just for us. I mean, when you were saying this, I was thinking like, how many people complain when they start playing Christmas music in November?
Look,
I mean, okay, you complain about it, right? But you know that they're doing it because that's the opportune time to do it, right? And I'm not trying to say I agree with Nyk when it should be all year round and that sort of thing. But what we have to realize though is that like some of these things that may make people feel uncomfortable are the things that need to be said, so people can't say stuff like, "Oh, no one was injured during slavery." It wasn't bad like that. It was, these things didn't happen like that. I there was another NPR thing I was listening to where some guy said, "Well, think about it like this: if a farmer went and bought a tractor, would he go and break that tractor?" Whatever. That's how he was comparing the issue with slavery. And it's like, are you crazy? But the thing is that like, first of all, we have to realize that it's not just for us. We want everyone to embrace it, and in order for that to be done, the history cannot be tainted, cannot be watered down, must be given as it was, must be told as it happened. The other piece to that is that you can make your celebration on how you want it to be, but understand that even when you had the young lady who spoke at Biden's inauguration, her speech was very much rooted in past transgressions against African Americans, right? And for her, because she even said it, for me to one day want to be president, to have the ability to speak for a president or something, or she said it, but the point I'm saying is that like what unfortunately our success was paved from overcoming tremendous obstacle, and you're gonna have that. You're gonna have that. For every girl like that, it's 100 people that were like Trayvon Martin. You know what I'm saying? You cannot have her without that struggle being recognized for those poor. I don't want to call it. When I say poor, I don't. You know what I'm saying? For those people who were treated incredibly wrong. So is this, to me, is this like one of those things where it's like you have to recognize that when people start talking about the kings and queens piece of that, you got to start going into your your African history and that sort of thing to get that insight of it, you know, from what happened from our journey as African Americans. It wasn't that life. It wasn't that, it's the story of 1619 to today.
Right. Mm-hmm. I get it. But you know what else is good is when you talk about, you go back to your African roots and the kings and queens. What needs to be shown is that part, then the slavery, how we got into that situation. And Nick, you are absolutely right when you say it's for the next generation to know what happened. What's that phrase? It's a very popular phrase. If you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, know what was. And if you know it, teach it, just like you said. If you're tired of seeing it, teach it to the younger generation. And we want our lineage and our bloodline to be greater than us. That's what I was always taught. You want your children to be greater than you. You want the next generation to be greater than them, which takes us all the way up to what we're doing now, the FaceTime. We talked about it back in, I want to say 85, 84, when they were first, I seen something on television. I told you I was like the Right On girl. I used to get the little magazines, that used to be in the stores, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I remember reading something way back in 84, 85, and it was about, maybe it was 85, 86. It was going to be about, I was in like the 6th or 7th grade, about we were going to be able to look at people as we talk to them. And, back then you'd be on the phone with your little boyfriend or your little girlfriend. You'd be like, oh, I get to look at you, blah, 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 when they were first speaking of it. Now we're able to look at people. So I have to ask the question, should you ask before you FaceTime someone? Should you ask them?
I think the only issue that I think if a kid is FaceTiming you, it's okay. They don't have to ask for permission. But I think it's a little creepy when adults just do it for no reason.
Okay.
Like I just want to see you.
Listen, and this
creepy.
stems from the daytime reel, where Lonnie Love actually FaceTimed Garcelle. And Garcelle was not okay with it. I guess they're fine now, but she wasn't okay with it. Like, you're FaceTiming me. She was sick with the COVID, and allegedly, I think it was that where she was sick, and Lonnie Love just FaceTimed her, wanted to make sure that she was okay. Should you ask someone? And you said it's a little creepy when somebody just sitting there, boom, and want to just FaceTime somebody instead of just calling. What's your thought?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, because a lot of times I'm in my house comfortable and I don't feel like, look, I got a couple of friends that'll just boom. Got a couple relatives that he'd be like, answer that phone. I want to see your face. And I'll be sitting there going, listen, turn that camera on. Nah, dog, my hair all over the place. I got to throw a bonnet on and I'm looking all crazy. I might have crust in my eye or something. You never know.
Or somebody else is there.
Right.
With them. Go ahead, Roogle. What's your thoughts? From a balance perspective.
Exactly. Just
I just think there's certain people who automatically have that ability to be able to do it, and you sort of unknowingly give them that right. But when it's just people that just randomly do it, it's not cool. Like, for example, I have a group of friends and we do a Zoom call, right? But we all agree to it. You know what I mean? Like, they ain't just Zoom, they ain't just like FaceTiming me, like what's going on. And it's nice because some of them, they have younger children and stuff like that. They, the kids want to be in the, whatever, blah, blah. But, it's just one of those things where it's like, it's a potential intrusion.
Now, see, and I'm with you on that potential intrusion. That's good. That's like coming to my house unannounced. But that's like coming to my house unannounced.
Right.
If I'm not ready and you outside, you beeping the horn, you think you're gonna knock on the door, you're not getting in. I am that person. Did you call first? So you're allowing that person in your personal space.
I've had people knock on my door. I peek out the window, see who it is. Oh, you ain't called first, and I'll sit down and keep watching TV. You have to call me first, prepare me. Are you, what you doing? would you like to, are you wanting company, or do you feel like having company? Because I would want to stop by. And then I'll be like, okay, well, let me throw something on. Come on over. I won't mind, but at least you called and asked me first and see if I want to be bothered. But yeah, just don't drop by, because you just gonna be a knocking, and I'm gonna be sitting here scrolling through my little fire stick while you're playing, and you might be looking in the window watching me.
And you just gonna sit there and be like, you didn't call, so I'm gonna ignore you.
Exactly.
Now,
But,
go ahead.
what did they bring in tidings of what is it?
Good cheer.
Yeah, or was it tidings? I can't remember how that Christmas song goes.
No, not how that they come to see what you got in your refrigerator. What you got to eat in?
Well, what about putting it in your mailbox? You'd be like, oh, I wanted to drop something off. But like Roogle said, certain people have the right to just pop up. Usually like your parents.
My niece.
Like, okay. They've seen you not dress. You know what I mean? So do you have to be that special person in order to FaceTime without calling? But a lot of people, just like that, what is that, the speakerphone? Tell me when you put me on speaker.
Oh yeah, that's another one. Because you could be talking about somebody like a dog, and that person could be sitting right there. You don't know that the person you talk to put you on speakerphone, and they sitting there looking stupid like and trying to hurry up and get you on speakerphone. Didn't nobody tell you put me on there in the first place? If you need to do something, be like, hey, yo, I look, I gotta put the phone down. I don't have my earphones with me. I'm gonna put you on speakerphone real quick. Is that okay? Do that.
Now let me tell you the error with FaceTiming. You might think that you're ignoring it and you accidentally answer. And that's why I don't take my phone in the bathroom, none of that, because I might answer it. I don't need people to know all of the extras. And let's be real, some people, they just want to see how you live in. I don't want you to see my house. If I invite you into my home, there you go. But I think FaceTime is actually inviting people into your personal space. And just like Roogle said, if it's a Zoom meeting, we agreed on it. So at this time, this is what we're going to do.
I got a quick question about the Zoom meeting though. What do you do in the instance that you were on a Zoom meeting with a lot of people for training, and you on the Zoom on your phone, and you go into the bathroom and you sit your phone down because you don't want to miss nothing, and we see all your business, and we trying to, people trying to type to let you know. I've seen that happen. I was in that situation in training. And look, we study typing, just trying to let sis know. But we see you. We see it all. The whole class sees it. She was just one of the.
She forgot to go off the stop video.
Yes, she forgot to take herself off of video. Listen, put that phone on the floor, stood up, and was everybody seen it. And two of us we tried to, yo.
She did get the job, right?
Huh?
And she didn't want to miss that. She did get the job, right?
When we was in training, she was one of the ones that just couldn't grasp things, so that they had to let her go.
Oh, well, see,
I knew where she knew that she couldn't grasp nothing. Come on,
thing. Let's talk about The Bachelor. Roogle, do you watch The Bachelor?
No, I do not watch The Bachelor. It's funny though, because I was a few years ago, I was in, was it The Bachelor? Yeah, it was The Bachelor. And I worked with a group of women, and they had a pool going. And so it was like how you do like a Super Bowl, like a March Madness track thing. And so I didn't watch any of the shows. I just looked at the women, and I said, this is the order in which they're gonna go. And I came in second, a very close second. I never watched the show. And it was like, I was like, because I just, this was when this was the year before they had the Black Bachelorette, because she was from that show. I can't think of her name. Her name might have been Rachel or something like that.
It's Rachel.
Okay.
And she was the first Black Bachelorette on The Bachelor. Well, The Bachelor is under some heat right now, under fire. Actually, the host, Chris Harrison. And Nick, you want to cover it?
Listen, I don't watch much of it. I like hit and miss.
Okay, well, let me set it up for you. For the listening audience and the viewers who may not watch The Bachelor, as Roogle doesn't, but he picks the right ones. Look, there was a female that's on there. Now we have the first Black Bachelor that's on there. And one of the girls that's like, oh, that got a rose at the end of, we're closer to the end and him picking the winner. She posted a picture where she was at a plantation party. That's what I'll call it. Air quotes, plantation party, even though we know what it was back in 2018. And the host, Chris Harrison, actually was talking to Rachel, who Roogle was talking about as far as like the first Bachelorette. And she was saying where there was an issue. So if you were at a plantation party in 2018 and now you're on the Bachelorette to date and you wanted a finalist to date a Black man, what do you really want to be with him? And was that in poor taste? So I want to make sure that I get this right. Chris Harrison, actually, he was talking to Rachel about the situation, and he wanted to know. He asked her. He said, she was saying it's just not a good look, and he said, now follow me, pay attention, lovely people. He said to her, "Is it not a good look for the 2018 or not a good look for 2021?" Huh? 2018, that's the day before yesterday. And that's when she said it's not a good look at all. So here's where what Roogle was talking about. It's not just for us, like watching the history of what goes on. This is a prime example. 2018, like it was okay for her to attend this party in 2018, which was yesterday. He acting like it's a long, long time ago. Or is it not a good look for 2021? I guess after the Black Lives Matter stuff. This has been going on forever, Chris. So he took a hiatus from the show, and then he apologized, of course, for being insensitive and not understanding. So are you telling me that this many people didn't know that this was not okay? Why was there no Black people at this plantation party? Because she had a picture. I had a problem with that. And I'm like, 2018, like this has been going on. This whole racial injustices, this has been going on. This isn't new, or is it new for him? Did he just learn about it in 2019 and 20 and said, is it not a good look for 2018, or is it not a good look for 2021? And being kind of sarcastic about it, trying to defend her for going to that party in 2018. Go ahead.
Yeah. Right as of last night, I got suspended for 3 days on my Facebook because I related to this whole situation, because I guess Sherry Shepherd had posted and said they're considering several people to replace him, and she's one of the people. And then somebody replied to Sherry, was getting smart. It was just a big long conversation. I could get it.
People in. We know people in.
But I think it's one of the people in is related to the situation. And she said whatever she was saying, and she was getting smart with Sherry. Then she said, "Your people comment." I went in.
And you got yourself suspended off of Facebook.
And I got suspended for the last 3 days.
Okay, wait a minute, Roogle, I want you to.
Your people?
Wait a minute. We're gonna find out what you said in a minute, because you can say it on this show. But Roogle, I want you to key in on that. What's your thoughts on him making a statement like that and feeling as though it was okay in defending her?
Because he thought he had the journalistic integrity to ask a deep probing question, and really how it can be looked upon is he trying to put this Black woman on the spot? Is he trying to put this Black woman on the spot, or is he truly inquisitive about that situation? And the thing is, when he made that comparison about 2018 versus 2021, the issue is that slavery is never chic. You know what I'm saying? And the argument, and the thing is, the argument, you have had several famous people who have come out in response about the use of plantations for things like parties, what do you call it, receptions and all that other stuff people have. Because there was a few people who got criticized about that. And one of the main things that brought it to light happened before, I mean, not one of the main things, one of the recent things that happened was your girl, the cooking show lady. What's her name?
Southern
Paula
Fried
Deen.
Chicken.
Paula Deen.
Paula Deen.
Paula Deen. And how she wanted her Southern plantation wedding and all that kind of stuff, you know? So it's just one, he should have stayed completely out of that lane because he don't know what he's talking about. You know what I mean? But since he tipped his toe in that water, now he know it's warm, it's boiling hot. You know what I mean? So
he knew what he was saying. He was being smart.
Well,
that's the way that I took it. But go ahead.
He was so smart that he lost his job.
Okay. Because a lot of them say things sarcastically, knowing it's going to trigger us. So yes, he was being smart. Just like
he's in hide now, and that's because he took a hiatus. He like, oh, let things cool off before I come back. What did you actually write, Nyk?
I told
what was your response?
My response was, I think you better rephrase. I tagged that person. I think you better rephrase your people reply garden tool. Got flagged immediately. So I edited comment and said,
so you got suspended for saying what? Hoe?
Yep. They know.
You called her a hoe, Nyk.
Yep. And then they flagged it immediately and told me to edit it or whatever. So I edited it and I said trick, and they flagged it immediately. So then I edited again and said bitch, but I put 2 Y's instead of an I. And boom, there you go. You're suspended for 3 days. They suspended that account. So I went on my other account and tried to tag me and say something about, because it's funny how you can see a post from a racist post and it don't get flagged, it don't get taken down, and if you try to report it, because it's happened to me several times, they come back and say it don't go against community standards, but they told me mine did and said it was bullying. How was that bullying? I didn't bully her. I said she needed, obviously you're not paying attention.
He probably reported you.
No, because immediately.
Oh, soon as you
immediately every single time. Soon as I comment, it would immediately, and it didn't post. So it never even posted. So she ain't seen it. But they actually flagged my other account too, because I went on and just tried to, make a regular post on my other page and tag that page that's suspended, and they won't even, I'm suspended on both. So guess what I did? Automatic page. So I'm going to be tagging both my other suspended accounts from that third page.
What? Then they're going to know that it's you. Then they're going to know that it's you. So she said you people, now you'd have called the woman a hoe, you'd have called her a trick. They said change the verbiage. You called her, change it from hoe to trick. They said change the verbiage, and then you changed that and called her a B, a female dog.
With 2 Y's. I changed it with
2 Y's, so you changed the spelling. They caught it too. Roogle, what you think we need to
do? I think you can combat evil without losing your Twitter account or whatever it is.
Her social media account.
Yeah, her social, whatever one it was. You can combat evil without that.
But look how long it took them to suspend Trump. But you gonna sit there because I called somebody a hoe, a trick, and a B, then you want to immediately flag me. Y'all racist too.
Well, the thing is that they see what can happen when they let people have their own way, and so you either get an insurrection or something
There's
else.
Still people, because you have folks going on these news websites saying racist stuff all the time, and every time I will go to report it, they come back and say it don't go against community standards, just for me to block that.
Maybe they have you flagged. They must have you flagged. They're like, oh, we better watch her.
They flagged me December 9th for something. They flagged me December 10th for something. And then today, so this is my 3rd time. So instead of a 24-hour, now I got a 3-day one.
All right.
Well, how many accounts? World. I was going to ask,
just that one account. But for some reason, when I go on the other account to tag myself,
We on to the next segment. Go ahead, Roogle. What's happening in the movie world?
Wow. Well, I will really have to tell you that I have been kind of bogged down with 1,000 other things. And the only thing that I've actually watched has been WandaVision. WandaVision is the series that's on Disney Plus. It is the story of Wanda and Vision, who were two of the Avengers who now are living life post the events of Endgame. And in this story, it shows what Wanda has lost a grip on reality because Vision is dead, but somehow he is alive in her wanderlust world of entertaining herself to gain some sort of humanity from these acts. So from what I gather from the show right now, they gonna make me watch it because I gotta watch it, you know what I mean? But I haven't really been all that happy with everything. And it just seems like some of the reveals, they're okay. Some of them, not so much. Other things, I think I bought into hype over what I thought it could be, and it wasn't that. But overall, it's entertaining enough, and it'll be over in a few more weeks. Outside of that, now I did watch The Little Things. The Little Things is a Denzel Washington movie that premiered on HBO Max. It was also in the theaters. Denzel always bring it 100% of the time. Him and Jared Leto made a really good combination of they had some really great scenes together, and it's a good movie. There was one scene where Denzel is like not chasing him but following him on the freeway, and they end up playing this game of like one speeds off, then the other one pulls off the arm wrap, and he's back on the ramp, and then next thing you know, they're where each other once were in those opposite positions. But I forgot Robbie Malek was also in it, and he, it's a good movie. It's traditional Denzel doing his thing, and it was interesting because it had a lot of layers in it that I didn't expect to see in it, especially with how they revealed what was actually happening with the crime and how and some past events. Really interesting stuff.
So you would recommend that?
I would indeed recommend it. I would indeed. Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield, their efforts on HBO Max, I'm forgetting the name of it, the Black
Judas
Messiah.
and the Black Messiah.
Yeah, I really truly wanted to watch it last night, but I couldn't. I've been too bogged down with other stuff. But that's one of my first things I want to check out. But I think with the whole theme of Black History Month, that everybody should take and go and find a new black property that they haven't seen and kind of watch it, and go back and watch some older stuff. Go back and check out Sidney Poitier, if you will. He had some really amazing, groundbreaking work he did during his early days in his acting career.
Okay. Let's move on to the next hot topic, which in New York City, a young lady gets terminated from her job because she refused to have the COVID vaccine. What's your thoughts?
The same as usual. It is still too new to be trying to just push it on everybody.
Okay.
That is a personal, to me right now, that is still a personal choice. It's still too new. Maybe a year and a half, 2 years, yeah. Then maybe require it after we see, and I know there's more people, that I know that are starting to get it now, and they're saying that they felt fine. Even the ones who received their second
vaccine
shot, they're fine. But it's still, like I said, too new because we don't know how it's going to react to everybody, and we're still finding that out. So right now, that's a bit too much to be trying to fire somebody because they don't want to take the COVID vaccine. Right now, it's still a personal choice. It should still be a personal choice until we know what the effects, the long-term effects are going to be and everything else.
Okay, now I'm not disagreeing with you. The lady, she feels that way. She's a waitress at the Red Hook Tavern. And she felt the same way, that it's too new and she wants to start a family. She don't know how that's going to affect it. Now, she said, here's the interesting thing. She just disagreed to it at this moment. She didn't say that she wouldn't ever get it. But how do you feel? How do you feel regarding employers pretty much mandating you get the vaccine? And I'm not trying to be funny, but this is a bar. Like, get out of here. But go ahead.
Yeah. Even with the bar, because I guess they want to consider, because of the risk, because of everybody that's coming in, you know, it's still too new. But sis, guess what? Get you a job where you ain't got to worry about the vaccine if you don't want to. Work from home. Boom, there you go. Problem solved.
Go ahead, Roogle. What's your thoughts on that? Taking your rights away, like making you get something. Go ahead.
I mean, that's essentially what the governor is doing by forcing people to go back to school early, right? Our governor, Dewani. I mean, that's essentially what he's doing. He's saying, I want these schools reopened. Here's these vaccinations. I think with this one, I think people just need to make a decision. And sometimes that decision doesn't have you, you're not going to be in favor, you know, with other people who may have to make a decision based on your decision. If she doesn't want to take it, she doesn't have to take it. Now, to me, this is the thing I don't understand is, how did this restaurant, how did they know? Okay, for example, everybody now is like, in order for you to get tested, in order for you to get the shot, you got to be in healthcare, you got to be a teacher, or you got to be a certain age. And then when those ages and all that stuff change, then that'll be able to happen. Like, I don't know enough about her to understand how was it they could hold her accountable for not getting this shot if she works in a restaurant. Like, it just doesn't seem like that should be the priority.
The Red Hook Tavern said they want to protect their customers.
Well, how are they getting the shots? How the Red Hook Tavern getting the shots?
How are they getting the shots? So to my understanding, and this is just me, I guess they offered it and she refused to take it. But let's go with, like you were saying, with Uncle DeWine in Ohio, like he wants everyone back in school in March. So they offered it to the employees, the teachers, and to get it, you know, I guess to protect the students and themselves from getting it. Now, the way that you don't have to get it, I'm just gonna put this out here, is religion, allergy, you know, where it's like, no, you don't have to have it. We talked about the mandate of the flu vaccine. We're working in different professions. You have to have the flu vaccine, or they won't allow you to, you know, to actually be employed there. So I'm with you on that. How did they determine at this Red Hook Tavern that you have to have it when it's not the school, you're not a healthcare worker? Like, help me.
Well, how was the Red Hook Tavern getting access to these shots versus a nursing home versus, you know, other elderly people, minorities, or, you know, I mean, that are elderly.
In New York. Yeah.
How is that happening? Like, I don't understand how they're distributing these shots in New York. If that's the case,
are they potentially going under the essential worker? Because, you know, like when we were quarantined and closed, certain restaurants and certain were still operating under essential worker, you know, so is that what they're doing? Maybe.
Okay, it could.
I don't understand that one, because my job is an essential worker, and our company hasn't given us the shot.
Okay. A lot of places,
and that's in telecommunications. So
yeah,
right.
It does make you wonder. It definitely makes you wonder. It's just out there, but you're not gonna make me get something to tell me what I have to get.
Right.
I know that sound.
What's that sound?
That sound is a sound I haven't heard in a long time. That sound is
Mel's Medical Moment. Hey, listen, y'all already know I'm going to tell you some things to increase your immune system. We're not going to talk about food, but I'm going to tell you zinc, your B complex, B1, vitamin C. Make sure you have all those lovely things in your system to increase your to increase your immunity. But I want to talk about doubt. And here's something that I want you to increase and overcome your self-doubt. So here's today's Q-tips infused with Mel's medical moments. Usually with self-doubt, it comes from your experiences, upbringing, and fear of success altogether. Let's be real. So let me give you some Q-tips on how you can overcome self-doubt, okay? Boost that immune system. Release it. Be happy. Look at the bright side of things. The glass is half full. So here's what you have to do to overcome self-doubt. Trust your values. Know them, okay? Don't look for validation. Excuse me. Don't look for validation. Some people look for the likes, like, okay, well, I got this many likes, so boom, that means that I'm in there. Or say you have to say something, you go on the Facebook Live, since we all have to be quarantined. Get on your Facebook Live. Get on your social media sites. Spew good things. Pour out that positive energy, okay? And don't worry about your likes. Just look at your views like, okay, if you could save one person, you have done your job, okay? Surround yourself with the positive people that are rooting for you, okay? Even if you're around somebody and they be like, oh, I don't know, or if they are doubting you, remove them from your circle, okay? Always be around your cheerleaders. Be around your cheerleaders. Find some cheerleaders, okay? And if you are the smartest one in your circle, find another circle, okay? You can still have them on there. Bench them. You might have to put them in the game, depending on whatever it is that you plan on doing at that time. But get your cheerleaders. I'm telling you, that will boost your immune system. And don't make excuses. Excuses are monuments of nothing. You can put one excuse, another. If you wrote down every single excuse that you have, what do you have? A pile of excuses, papers that you need to be shredding, okay? So please remember, people are going to people. So don't validate yourself according to if somebody likes you or how many likes that you have, or if somebody agrees with you. As long as you know and you're walking in your purpose, you'll be okay. All right, that's all I gotta tell. That's all I gotta say for the Mel's Medical Moments. Real easy, because we know that people are going to people, and that is today's footnote. People are going to people. So don't validate yourself off of people who don't agree with you. All right. Any last words?
What happened?
Any last words?
Yeah, have a great day. Stay warm. Love and good wishes go out to the folks in Texas and the middle and the Midwest that are experiencing these terrible winter storm conditions. You know, I just pray that everything is better soon.
All right, Nick, any last words?
Same thing. Prayers go out to everyone in the South and the Midwest that are actually being pounded with this storm. You know, even though it's passing now, they still have to get back to their normal life, which is going to be kind of hard because they're still going through things. So I just prayers to everybody that is suffering right now.
All right. Well, we know we are all in survival mode. All right, we're all in survival mode, and we definitely got to pray for one another. Let's help one another. We saw with Shaina Bell that there are good people out there, and we all want to assist. And even though we are in survival mode, we give $5, $10. We're just there being supportive. Even, you know, the kind words. People need to hear kind words. We don't tear each other down. And this is not a black or a white thing. This is a right thing. Stop tearing each other down and let's uplift one another. All right, lovely people, that is my time. I thoroughly enjoyed you, as I do each and every single Saturday. Find you, embrace you. Most importantly, always love you. Until next week, people.
Shut up.
Right here, Spreaker.com.